I was like, man, I want to go international. Like, I want to do something different. And he said, okay, where do you want to go? So I was like, Puerto Rico. He was like, nah, can't do Puerto Rico. I was like, Spain. Nah, I can't do Spain. And then he said Mexico. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I'll say, fellas, like that was one of the pivotal moments in my life, man. I had a great time in the summer in Mexico. Did a lot of traveling. The company had a lot of factories they call maquiladoras across the country. And I got a chance to see a lot of that and met some really cool people, drank a bunch of tequila, ate some great food. And it just, it was just, again, life-changing experience. One of the biggest lessons I learned there was the concept of time and valuing your time. So I remember one time going to a staff meeting and it was like a 10 o'clock meeting. I show up at like 9:50 and the whole Morehouse adage is what?
Be on time
Be
to
honest,
be
be
late.
late.
Exactly, right? So I'm trying to, put my best foot forward first day, get there at 9:50, nobody's there. 9:55 rolls around, nobody's there.
This is in Mexico, right?
We say?
This is Mexico, right?
Yeah. 10 o'clock rolls around, nobody's there. 10:05, a couple people start trickling in. So one of the guys that I work for, he was a real cool dude, pulled me aside later and was like, look, man, he said, I got to help you understand how things work here. So he's like, people, during like the mornings, we eat breakfast together. Lunchtime, folks go home, pick up their kids from school and maybe have lunch. And then they come back and work. And then after work, we go out and eat and drink. And then we do the same thing. And it's just like, all right, this is cool. He said, but I want you to understand one thing. He said, you all live to work. We work to live.
Like Netflix show on right now.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like life it's about work, but it's not all about work, right? You work to sustain yourself. You work for fulfillment, but it's not supposed to dominate your life so much you can't enjoy your life. So that was like
that's crazy. That quote is in a book by Dale Carnegie. Carnegie. It's in his book, that same quote.
Yep.
It's a Netflix show that's on now. It's a woman who interns over in, I forget where, internationally. She did the same thing, same scenario, Jeff. She shows up early, nobody's there. They all roll in. And it's funny, she's like, yo, do you want to go for lunch? They're like, nah. She goes out by herself. She walks by a restaurant and the whole office is in there eating together. It's like, but one of the employees pulled her to the side and had the same conversation and verbatim said that same thing. You guys live to work. We work to live.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, and particularly for us, man. Historically, we work harder and give more of ourselves to sustain ourselves, right? I mean, how many of y'all have parents or aunts and uncles or grandparents that work two or three jobs to make ends meet or to provide opportunities for other people? So, that definitely resonated with me, man. And it was something I kind of tried to keep top of mind, just across the board going forward. So came back second year, ended up getting a job with GMAC in their treasury group. And it was a cool opportunity. But again, I get to this company, man. I'm on the floor. I'm like the only brother on the whole floor of people. It was me and another sister that came in. She was a graduate of like Vanderbilt B School or something. We were like the only two Black people, except for like one of the receptionists. And it was a weird situation because I had an MBA. My manager, the assistant manager, didn't, and then the manager was working on her MBA, and they were like company GM people. They'd been there like 10, 15 years or more. I think, as a matter of fact, my assistant manager started as a repo man. So he had this like chip on his shoulder. It's a young brother coming in there with a degree, and I wasn't afraid to speak my mind. And I just, man, I could do the work. I just didn't enjoy it. And at the same time, I'm watching Cool down here in Atlanta, doing this thing and other brothers across the country doing their thing. And I just felt like I had a higher purpose. And I'll never forget when 9/11 happened, one of my boys worked on Wall Street, and we used to just, shoot emails in the morning, just talking shit about random stuff. And I remember we talking about something. And he sends me this email like a bomb went off in the World Trade Center. And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? So that right after that, get the second email in all caps, a plane hit the World Trade Center. So I worked on a floor with cubicles, and my section of cubicles was like right near the conference room. So I went in, turned the TVs on, and within like a minute or two, I saw the second plane hit the second tower.
Wow.
Mhm.
And I just remember standing there, like just shocked. And then by that time, people started trickling in, and people were just astonished, just watching all this stuff unfold. And at that point, there were reports of other, there's the DC, and you just didn't know what was next, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking like I'm in this tall, high-rise GM is a world company. This might be the next. I remember telling my manager, like, I'm going home. Like, I'm not comfortable here. And I remember walking home because I didn't live that far from work. And I just remember watching for a day, like just watching the news. Like I couldn't get anybody in New York that I knew. All the phone lines were down. And it just, again, for me was confirmation, like I need to be doing something that's purposeful. Like I need to be feeling like what I'm doing is fulfilling, and that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So ended up leaving after about 2 years and coming back to Atlanta and just kind of chasing dreams. So hustled and did a few things, and cool, same person to help you get you started, Mr. Wynn, helped me get started in construction. So started building some houses, 1, 2 here and there around Atlanta, and just really enjoyed that experience, man. It was for me like,
oh, so you rich as hell too?
Nah, I can't even say that. I can't say that. I wish I could. I
Builders be coming out with black cars and drop top Porsches.
Again, like I said earlier, that's a conversation for another day. I could drop some science
What's up.
about that.
That's right.
But man, I think what I loved about that was taking something that was raw and going through this process of beautification into this end product. And it reminded me of when I was working at that junior college and I was teaching. I was working with students who, I had some returning college students who hadn't been in school for like 20 years and were coming back to school. And it was like a whole process really helping them to understand, what it is to study again, like what it is to balance your time and sit through a classroom and take notes and look at mathematical formulas, like when algebra is not your thing. That was one segment. Then I had high school students from schools that were under-resourced that didn't have the basis to really understand the work they were doing. So construction for me really mirrored that whole development process. And it was something that was really, really interesting to me. Unfortunately, the market crashed right when I was really getting rolling. And I had to make a hard decision, man. I had to step out. And I ended up going back into youth development. I ended up going back to Atlanta Metro and managing the Upward Bound program there. If you guys are not familiar with Upward Bound is one of those TRIO programs I referenced earlier. It's designed to help students from low income backgrounds or first generation households to graduate from high school and then go on to post-secondary studies. So I did that for about 5 years, parlayed that into working for the Board of Regents for the state of Georgia. I was the assistant project director on this program called the African American Male Initiative. And that was targeting the 30 colleges across the state, colleges and universities, to increase recruitment, retention, and graduation rates for Black males. And that was cool, man. It was an interesting experience, but it was also like challenging that I'm living in a red state it's a state program designed to increase Black male enrollment. And as you can, think about it, it probably didn't get funded like it needed to be. Right. So I did that for a while, ended up taking a job with the United Way, managing a grant. Actually, ironically, the grant served university homes. Remember the projects right between?
Oh, yeah. Right there by Spelman. Right? Yeah.
Well, Atlanta Housing Authority got a grant called the Choice Neighborhoods Grant through HUD. And the idea was to revitalize this distressed property, beautify the neighborhood, and then make improvements in the schools. So I managed the education portion of the grant, and it served the schools, the public schools in the area and the neighborhood. And again, man, it was an interesting experience, but the challenge was it was really under resourced.